Yes, the title is true. I have never played a Sonic adventure game before, and given the insane amount of Sonic things that are already and are about to come out in the next year or so, I figured now would be the perfect time to get into Sonic, to delve into the game's lore, its overarching stories, and its myriad of colourful characters. So today we're going to be starting my journey into the Sonic franchise with Sonic Adventure. Now, do be aware that I am playing the DX version. Supposedly the Dreamcast version is better, but this is all I got, baby. So Sonic Adventure initially releasing on the Dreamcast in 1998, and then an eventual enhanced director's cut releasing in 2003, sees Sonic go on, you guessed it, an adventure. Thanks for watching. Oh, you wanted more? Okay, alright. Sonic Adventure is a cornerstone, a critical point shaping the way forward for Sonic games from here on out. It marks the first real attempt at moving Sonic from his usual 2D form factor and pushing him into a 3D setting. Now, there was technically a 3D game before Sonic Adventures called Sonic the Fighters. This used a 3D engine that came out 2 years prior to Adventure, but Sonic Adventure is typically touted as the first real mainline 3D Sonic game. And for its first attempt, it's surprisingly well done and very ambitious. As if adding an entirely new access to a traditional 2D franchise wasn't already enough, the game will see you controlling many different characters throughout your play. You'll get to control Sonic, Tails, Knuckles, Amy, Big the Cat, E102, Gamma, and there's also a secret character you unlock later on, but this only becomes available to you once you complete the story for all of these other characters. Playing as different characters also means you get new levels, new abilities, new dialogue, new equipable items, new areas to explore, and entirely new perspectives. An example of this is when Tails is flying around in his plane. When you play as Sonic, you see him crash behind these buildings. But when you're playing as Tails, you actually see his perspective when he crashes himself. There are things like this that are found throughout the entire game, and it just adds another layer of depth or dimension that fleshes out a fairly short and concise story. And for the most part, the missions do repeat themselves with minor differences for each character, and it's only in certain moments where a story will truly be unique to the character you're playing as. Outside of those moments, characters are typically swapped out for one another with no real external changes. For an example, instead of Sonic getting gassed, Tails does if you're playing as him. I like the effort in giving different perspectives, but just small and inconsequential things like this throughout the game can both be good and bad, as it feels like artificial padding at times with slight twists or changes in mechanics based on the character, so it feels mostly valueless and doesn't contribute much to the different character selection mechanic. However, that also means that because you already become familiar with a lot of these levels and dialogues, you're able to smash through them very quickly so it doesn't overstay their welcome. So moving into the story, what is this game actually about? As to be expected throughout most Sonic games, Eggman, otherwise known as Dr. Robotnik, is looking for a way to once again defeat Sonic and seek world domination. Only this time, he brought a puddle.
Oh no! Our weapons are useless!
The game opens up with you fighting this puddle, and after Sonic throws out the sickest slur he had in the chamber.
Come on, you big drip. Where you going?
Eggman provides us with some much needed exposition about who or what we just fought.
It's Chaos, the god of destruction!
Buckle up, boys, here comes the history lesson. Eggman learns about Chaos, who was a creature that is over 1,000 years old. Chaos was kind of a guardian who worked with the Chows, these little shits here, to protect the Master Emerald, and in doing so, maintain the balance of the 7 surrounding Chaos Emeralds. A tribe of echidnas tried to steal the power of the emeralds and broke this harmony between the 7 Chaos Emeralds, the Master Emerald, Chao, and Chaos. Chaos transformed into Perfect Chaos, this huge beast to ward off the echidnas. Tikal, a younger echidna, imprisoned Perfect Chaos as well as herself into the Master Emerald to stop the destruction. Skip forward to present day, Eggman smashes the Master Emerald to release Chaos and aims to collect the Chaos Emeralds to give to Chaos to once again turn him into Perfect Chaos to use him as a tool for world domination. Now your job as the player is to get to these Chaos Emeralds before Eggman does. Every emerald that is given to Chaos results in him having a transformation, as well as growing exponentially in power.
Without more emeralds, the monster can't transform, so it's up to us to get the emeralds before Eggman does, huh?
So to get those emeralds, you'll need to enter and complete the many stages offered throughout this game. However, you'll have to find the stages first, which is kind of a challenge in and of itself. See, the game isn't really the clearest about where it wants you to go. This left me sometimes wandering around waiting for a cutscene to start and aimlessly running around hoping I'm close enough for one to trigger. So once you finally get to where you need to be, you'll be pushed into a stage. Each character gets their own set of stages that intertwine and fill out the character's story arc. Sonic arc being the longest, sitting at around 4 to 5 hours of playtime. Tails, Knuckles, Amy and E102 Gamma take about an hour each, with Big the Cat taking about 30 to 40 minutes. The character you're playing as will also dictate what the mission structure is. So a quick rundown on each character. Sonic, as you'd come to expect, focuses on his super speed and how fast he can make it to the end of the level. Knuckles has a hot and cold mechanic where you need to find 3 emerald shards per level. Now you'll walk around and these icons will shift in color depending on whether you're getting further or closer away, being hot or colder. Tails is often tasked to beat Sonic to the finish line. Big the Cat has this really unimpressive fishing minigame that quickly became my least favorite character to play as. Amy has a lot of minigame centric moments spread throughout her action stages. And finally, E102 Gamma focuses on releasing his brethren from their creator through blasting the shit out of everything in his way. Overall, it was really impressive to see that not only do you get a variety in the characters you play as, but the mechanics, level designs, and abilities hidden within also change. This may not seem that impressive to today's standard, but we need to remember this game came out in 1998. This was super impressive for a game back then. Now, impressive as all that is, not all characters are actually treated or valued equally. As mentioned, Big the Cat was one of my least favorite characters. He's clunky to control and every level centered around him fighting Froggy, who was in one of the many bodies of water in each level, and then you just have to fish for him. It blew my mind that in order to get the secret ending at the end, I had to endure 40 minutes of this shit.
Froggy, is that you? Ah, there's Froggy. Froggy.
Now this could have easily been turned into a side mission or something the player goes to off on their own rather than being made to be mandatory content. On the flip side, E102 Gamma was one of my favorite characters to play as. He has a really good feeling gun that promptly locks onto enemies around you and has a really great variety in levels that challenge his combat and traversal. You get to unlock a jet booster which gives you the ability to stay in the air for longer, and he also comes with what I think is one of the best stories in the game aside from that main overarching story. E102 is part of a line of robots made by Eggman, and due to a fatal flaw in his programming, E102 developed free will. This allowed E102 to disobey his directives, and after noticing how destructive Eggman was, he was able to assign himself his own mission. His mission was to free his brethren from their creator, Eggman, and the only way to do that was to destroy them. When facing his last brother, he was hit with a fatal blow that leads to his demise, but in doing so, he can die knowing that his mission was complete. Now this really became a turning point for me because it was the first character in this game that didn't have a good ending. It was a level of emotional maturity that I really wasn't expecting in a Sonic game. In fact, come to think of it, most characters have surprisingly emotional arcs in this game. Sonic is seen as a leader and assumes responsibility to be the one to stop Eggman. Given their history, he feels it's his duty to stop him. You see Tails overcome his fear and embrace bravery, and the list just goes on. All of this really sold me on the idea that the stories told within these games are simply more than just Blue Hedgehog run fast. It was one of the more compelling reasons why I wanted to tackle this series. There is a true potential to tell some really palpable stories here, something I really wasn't expecting. The level designs were also incredibly impressive for this game too. You'll operate out of several different hub world areas that will house the locations for your action stages. You get to go to a hotel with some hot babes in the pool, city streets, sewers, etc. Now these are all varied already, but then you get into the action stages and you're presented with different things like casino themed areas that have pinball levels, volcanic lava, pitch black levels where the only source of light comes from fire enemies, ice levels, there are dense forest areas, you're up on an airship, you're snowboarding, the list goes on, but all levels will play into the main mechanic of each character. To add, characters are also able to find items that are equipable that will further enhance their abilities even more. Again, really impressive for the time that this game came out. Now this game also has something called the Chow Garden, which allows you to go to multiple different locations and care for these little things called chow. You can feed them, take care of them, hatch them. However, I found that this wasn't really enough to hold my attention. It's a neat addition for those who would want something like this, and fantastic that they made this entirely optional. So that's a lot of praise and many things going on here that I really do like. But what were the things that I didn't like? First off, the camera is terrible. I was constantly fighting against this thing. It would get stuck behind walls, it wouldn't let me see anything at all, and it just led to so many deaths. The game also wouldn't allow me to look up or down for some reason, only left to right. This is a problem in levels that emphasize verticality because I was simply going up or down without being able to see if there were spikes or any other dangers above or below me. The characters are extremely floaty and feel like they barely have any weight to them at all. It is something you get used to, but it makes platforming sequences slightly more tedious because you're not only trying to navigate a level, you're doing so with a character that rarely gives decent feedback in any direction or momentum shifts. Next, and they kind of get a pass on this given the age of the game, but the voice acting is atrocious.
This is beginning to blow my mind.
All throughout the game, there were just so many moments that tried to build up tension that were only quickly eroded by completely unserious or unprofessional deliveries of lines.
Ah, look! Eggman's robot's on the loose!
Don't panic. I'll handle that bag of bolts.
Ah!
Next is the general incompetence of the Sonic team in the story. The boss fights in this game are very basic, and the game's difficulty is also very low, but there are many moments in this game where you defeat a boss and through a cutscene, Sonic or a friend still manages to lose an emerald to either Chaos or Eggman. This doesn't happen just once either. Almost every time you get an emerald, the preceding cutscene shows you losing it somehow in the dumbest way. These fucking emeralds would almost be safer if Sonic never searched for them to begin with. And lastly, the numerous bugs and glitches. It's no secret that Sonic games are not the most well optimized. And again, I can only speak to the DX version of this game, but holy shit, there were so many glitches and bugs. I was clipping through levels, I was falling to my death, I was floating mid-air, which saved me from falling to my death. Some attacks, especially the homing attack as Sonic, can be very jank, and at times it just gets messy. So moving past all that, you've defeated all the levels on all the characters, and you now notice a new level appears. This was the super secret character that I mentioned at the start of the video. You get to play as Super Sonic. Chaos has transformed at this point into Perfect Chaos, and Eggman has completely lost control over him. Now, astute viewers will understand that as he is Perfect Chaos, he's already absorbed the powers of the Chaos Emeralds. But if those emeralds are drained, how will we turn into Super Sonic, you may ask? Well, shut up, little friend. Tails is going to explain it to you.
Chaos only used the negative power of the emeralds. Sonic, you should be able to harness their real power.
As much as I hate to admit it, I think Tails is right about this.
So after all that, we get this really weird scene where characters just start yelling positive affirmations at Sonic.
Go Sonic! Yeah, Sonic!
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 Negative forces aren't the only way to empower the Chaos Emeralds.
And through the power of friendship, shut up, the emeralds recharge and we get supersonic.
Our positive feelings toward each other can make them work. Our hearts together form awesome power.
I don't even care how dumb this all sounds because this level was so sick. Skimming across the water, dodging energy blasts, shooting at the top of Perfect Chaos's head while this banger soundtrack was playing. It was just so good. Also, Eggman seeing the absolute travesty that he caused and then just fucking off without saying a word was also the funniest thing to me. It's why he's the GOAT. So that was my time in Sonic Adventure 1. It's a game not without its many issues, but a game I found to be so compelling and enjoyable that it has set me on a path to explore more Sonic games. Make sure to stick around for the channel for our next adventure where, whoa, why did it get so dark in here? It's almost like a giant shadow.